تهیه و تنظیم در استودیو بیزرایز.
So guys, welcome to week 1 of Kaizen Cure. Now in today's video, we will be discussing the reason that you are reliving the same day again and again. Now guys, tell me if this sounds like you. You wake up every day, and although you try to power through, it's like you're stuck in this weird deja vu. And no matter what burst of motivation you have, no matter how many motivational videos you watch, it's like something is haunting you and keeps dragging you down. And you've started to feel as though things aren't in your control and there's some external force holding you back. Well, guys, I want to show you a painting by Michelangelo, and this is called The Last Judgment. And there's one, I look at this painting every single day, and there's so many parts to it, and I think it tells so many different stories, but there's one that I really want you to focus on, and that's down here towards the bottom. And I genuinely think that life feels like this sometimes. It almost feels like there's just these dark external forces trying to bring us down, trying to hold us down. And there were times in my life where I felt like I had literally zero control over myself. I thought I had control over myself, but then there'll be a lapse of concentration, or I'd do something that I knew I shouldn't have done, or I'd buy something that I knew I shouldn't have bought, or I'd party when I shouldn't have partied, or 101 different things. I'd say I'd do something, logically I knew I wanted to do it, but it was almost like I had zero control over myself. And there were times where I felt as though there was something within me that simply didn't want me to succeed. It was like, there was this pure version of Iman, and then, who was there maybe 5-10% of the time, but 90-95% of the time, there was something within me that just did not want me to move forward. And there were times where no matter how much progress I made, I simply destroyed all my work and went back to square one. I'd have a couple days where, I was focused and I was moving forward with my business, and I was moving forward with my meditation and the gym and everything. And I would just knock it all down. It was like building up a snowman, and then just as you're about to put the head on, you knock the entire thing down and just blow it up into smithereens. And it felt as though I was part of the Last Judgment. It literally felt as though I was a part of Michelangelo's painting, his vision. This bigger picture, it felt like that was what I was experiencing in my life. And that's why I look at this painting so much. It's a reminder that, no matter how much you try to move up, there will always be something within you trying to hold you back. And we'll get onto this later in the course. There's just guys, I can honestly say I have been around so many entrepreneurs, 5-figure entrepreneurs, 6-figure entrepreneurs, 7-figure entrepreneurs, and even 8-figure entrepreneurs, and hopefully soon 9-figure entrepreneurs. The only difference that I see between them, it's not the tactics. Guys, the tactics are so easy to get. To pay for the tactics, to pay to get the tactics, it's really not that hard. To pay someone to coach you on the tactics, it's really not that hard. Guys, and I've mentored through my online programs and through in-person coaching and events. I've mentored close to, and probably by the time you're listening to, over 1,000 people. So I've picked up on a lot of patterns, right? And the one main thing that stands out is it's never got anything to do with the tactics, because the tactics are so easily accessible. It always has something to do with this inner belief system, these limiting beliefs, the structure, the habits that they've set out, what they believe they're worth. And as I said, I always come back to this picture just to remind myself that even if I think I want to succeed, there are definitely still subconscious and deep-rooted limiting beliefs and just these, I would go as far to say it's just these demons trying to hold me back. And guys, this isn't as sinister as it sounds. It's not like I walk through every single day and I'm in 2 different worlds and I constantly feel torn, but I'm sure you've experienced it yourself. I'm sure you've experienced it where like you have so much resistance, you know, you want to wake up early and you know you want to wake up early, and you even, you might even get out of bed, but then it's literally like these like demons are holding you back, trying to pull you back to that bed. And I know that you've all experienced it, at least in one facet of your life. And that's why, guys, I'm just so freaking passionate to bring, like, I'm so excited, and this gets me so passionate. I love teaching the tactics. I love it when someone can take one of my programs and in the space of 30 days go from 0 to 45,000 a month in profit, right? Which just happened to me a few weeks ago. I love that. But the thing is, there's so many cases of people that get the tactics, but then they never do anything with it. And it is all got to do with this stuff that we're talking about right here. So guys, I'm so excited. And, I spent years trying to figure this out. At this point, it's come to me. I've realized it. I'm aware of it. I can control it better. But I'm sure for a lot of you guys, you're still trying to figure out, why is this happening? Why is it that I say I want one thing, and then I go ahead and the actions that I take are completely different to what I know that I want? And I'd like to introduce you guys to neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. I'm sure if you guys have gone to any sort of Tony Robbins seminar, you are very
تهیه و تنظیم در استودیو بیزرایز.
NLP and the power of it. So, I started working with a coach, and I've been working with a lot of coaches and mentors. And not only do I have coaches and mentors, as I said, for the tactics, for the brass tacks, but I also have coaches and mentors for my energy work and my meditative practice. So yeah, as I said, I started working with a coach, and she told me that she had the ability to predict anyone's short-term future, which is like, that's quite a tall order. So obviously I was very, very inquisitive. I was very, very interested as to what she had to say. So what she told me is that people's present is a construct of people's past. And I'd like to break this down further. So your past equals your present equals your future, therefore your future equals your past. It's all one vicious loop. You see, the reason most people feel as though they are reliving the same day again and again is because, quite simply, they are. The reason that your present feels like your past is because you use your past as a reference point as to what the present will hold, and your actions in the present define the future. Let me break this down quite simply. Let's say, you want to build a business, and you gotta pick up the phone, you gotta make some phone sales. If in the past you have done door to door, and you had the door slammed on you almost every single time, your brain uses that as a reference point to what the present will hold. So your brain goes, okay, well, shit, Tony, like, so many times you had people reject you when you did door to door sales, so they're just going to reject you again this time. So even though logically, you might listen to the motivational video or get all amped and pumped, if you don't address that old limiting belief and that thing sitting in your subconscious, it's just going to manifest in the present. And obviously what manifests in the present will dictate the future. Guys, the actions that you take in the present, that is the outcome of the future. They dictate what the future holds. So then if we look at the future, quite simply, it's just a construct of the past, right? And as I said, that is why you feel as though you're reliving the same day again and again, because as I said, quite simply, you are. And we look at the past as a reference point to what the future will hold. When we see a past riddled with failure, we assume the future will be the same. So guys, there are a lot of you that are holding on to past failures, and you're assuming that is what the present holds, even though you have 0 data points. You have maybe 2 or 3 data points. Oh, I may have failed at this. When I was 6, I failed at... When I was 10, I failed at becoming a pro tennis player. When I was 18, I failed in my geometry exam. When I was 15, my dad told me that I wouldn't be anything. Whatever that is, whatever your thing is, whatever your past failure is, your past failure is holding you back, right? And guys, take as many fucking courses as you want. Do as much coaching as you want. Go to the high-end masterminds. Those are all incredible things. But at the end of the day, if you do not believe that you can do something, you will never do it. I recently had my high-end event here at my house in London a few days ago, and I was explaining to them the process that I use and will forever use to achieve my biggest dreams and my biggest goals and my biggest desires. And that's see, believe, achieve. And this sounds very cliche, and this sounds very, okay, well no shit, Iman. But at the end of the day, a lot of you guys are trying to achieve something that you do not believe. And when you don't believe that you can do something, you failed from the get-go. And a lot of people, they hear that and they go, okay, great, I'm just going to focus on believing it. I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm going to believe it, or like I'm going to write it down and I'm just going to believe it, and etc., etc. But the thing is, guys, you cannot believe that which you cannot see, right? And we're going to get onto this a bit later on, but as I said, my 3-step process: in order to achieve, I need to believe, and in order to believe, I need to see. Okay, and we're going to get onto that a bit later on, as I said. So, guys, I want to talk to you about how this paralyzes people. Now, there was actually a coaching student of mine, and in the past, he actually did amazing in exam prep and got accepted into the best colleges. But when it came to the last moment, the final test, he completely failed. So, get this. He works for years and years and years, and even in his predicted exams, he gets amazing results and gets into the best colleges, right? And he's done all this work, but when it came to the final test, he bombed it, lost all of his uni offers, and just completely failed. So over the next 5 years, he recovered. He worked 2 corporate jobs, all of which he was the fastest growing in both companies' history. Both times he quit just as he was about to land a multi-6-figure promotion. So let's kind of break that down. He busts his ass. He's the fastest growing in both companies, but just as is about to reach the point in which he's
تهیه و تنظیم در استدیو بیزرایز.
he gets the reward, he gets the result, he quits. And in the present, he's bought all my online programs, he's studied them, he's learned how to theoretically sell, how to deliver, and how to become a machine. Then every time it comes to actually selling or taking meetings, he avoids it at every single cost. And this was so weird for me to see when I broke it down with him. He's got these huge 4-figure and 5-figure a month retainers on the horizon. And he's built so much rapport, and he's built this incredible system, this incredible agency. But every single time it came to selling, he either had a cold or a flu, or he just felt like super tired, or he felt unmotivated just as he was about to reap these rewards, reap these benefits of all of the hard work that he did. And guys, let me tell you what the future has in store for him. Until he breaks this cycle, and we'll discuss how later, he will constantly manifest the same future because of his paralysis of the past. This guy, he is used to, and his past reference, and the funny thing is it was only one reference point. This guy was also amazing at so many different sports and instruments as well. But he uses this past reference points, one data point. And that's also the crazy thing, guys. A lot of you are holding on to one data point. What your dad said about you, what your mom said about you, what your teacher said about you. One data point. You're going off of one data point, and you are letting one data point dictate your future. Because that one data point you are defining as your past. And obviously, as I said, your past just predicts your future. So this guy, he's just going to keep manifesting the same thing again and again. He's just going to keep manifesting. I'm going to bust my ass. I'm going to build an incredible agency, or I'm going to, maybe I'll get super lean in the gym. And just as I'm succeeding, I'm going to fuck it all up, because that's what I know. All I know is building, getting success. And then right when it comes to the most pinnacle moment, just fuck it up. I fuck it up. And as I said, that is a construct of his past that he has held on to. Now, if we go look at someone like me, my past is I grew up with the law of scarcity mentality, and my back was against the wall at an early age. By 16, 17, I had to be the man of the house financially and emotionally. You know, my childhood was, I had a funny childhood. I had a very blessed and lucky childhood where I saw the best, you know, not the best, but I saw the worst of both worlds. I saw the worst of a world where people had so much money and they were still unhappy. And I also saw the worst of the world of where people had zero money and were still unhappy. You know, so I grew up around a lot of wealthy people just by association. But me and my mom had zero money whatsoever. So by 16, 17, as I said, I had to be the man in the house financially and emotionally. And guys, I can honestly say the only reason I've worked as hard as I have is because my back was against the wall for me and my mom, right? So I am used to that scarcity mentality. I'm used to having my back against the wall and pushing through. So over the next 2 years, I was so cornered. I was under so much pressure to take care of me and my mom that I built a war chest, and at the age of 18 had already made $1 million profit. Now, guys, I haven't actually made $1 million profit, but you know, my aim is $2 million profit. I'm definitely on track for 1 million this year. And including, you know, last year, it's already guaranteed that I've made $1 million profit by the age of 18. So not many 18-year-olds I know make $1 million profit. And the reason that is because my back was against the wall. Now, if we look at my present, at this point, I have spent so much money and time learning from the best and spent so long on systems that even if I spend 1 hour a week working, I should still make 50K per month in revenue. Guys, I always talk in profit, but if you look at my revenue numbers, they're a lot higher. Okay, so even if I sleep and I work 1 hour a week, because of my team, you know, because of the team I've built from my marketing agency, because of the systems I have in place in terms of sales through different webinar funnels and through my affiliate marketing business, I could probably sleep and still make $50,000 a month in revenue. So this has meant that I get complacent at times, knowing that even if I steer off of my discipline, nothing will really happen. So guys, I've resorted to doing things like paying rent 12 months in advance, paying taxes ahead, and paying employees ahead, literally pumping multi-six figures outside of my control again. Now, what that's going to mean in the future is until I stop operating from a place of scarcity, the only motivation I can ever live off of is having my back against the wall. And you'll actually see this with people like boxers, and this is a dangerous territory. You'll see this with a lot of boxers where they make a shit ton of money and then they just blow it all because they know that unless they are operating from a place of scarcity, from having nothing, which is, by the way, how they got to that place in the, got to that level of success in the first place. The way that they got to that level of success is by having their back against the wall, in the same way that I had my back against the wall when I was, a few years ago. I knew that either step up or me and my mom are screwed. Okay, that's a lot of pressure. That's having your back against the wall. And you do incredible things when you have your back against the wall. But here's the issue. If I rely for the rest of my life on having my back against the wall in order to operate and succeed, there's going to be a point in my life where I make 50, 100 million a year. At that point, how do I fabricate having my back against the wall? Do I blow it all on jewelry, cars, paying taxes 7 years in advance, pumping everything back into like development that doesn't really need to be there, and then having a small war chest, having my business bank account not have much money so that I can trick myself into working harder again? That is dangerous territory. So guys, even at my level, there are still beliefs and old habits and things holding me back. They're holding me back. And as I said, a lot of the time, it just feels like the last judgment.
تهیه و تنظیم در استودیو بیشتری.
In my instance, luckily my instance isn't as sinister as someone else's. For someone else, they genuinely, it could be a matter of their father told them they were nothing. I mean, in all fairness, I know what this is like, but thank God I pushed past this. My real dad was an alcoholic, abusive runaway. My stepdad, he told me I was nothing my entire life. So for a lot of you guys, and by the way, I'm pulling in a lot of personal stories here, guys. You know me, you guys know, I'm sure a lot of you guys have taken all of my other programs as well. I'm very clear-cut, straight to the point. I don't want to screw around with you guys, but I'm trying to give you contextual stories and pull from stories of people that I know and myself to give you a bit of context, because I know that this is stuff that might be a bit hard to digest at first, but I'm telling you, this will be the most life-changing online program you've ever taken. I will guarantee you that right now. Because no one else is talking about this, and no one else in the space of entrepreneurship and high-level results and success is talking about this. So, as I said, guys, so many people are held back by something their father told them 10 years ago. Okay, so I said, until I move past this, I'm playing in a dangerous territory. So let me explain to you what is currently happening in terms of your beliefs and your brain. Because at the end of the day, here's what your brain is trying to do. Your brain is trying to save energy, understandably. Your brain does not want to use, or your body doesn't want to use as much energy, wants to use as little energy as possible. And I think your brain actually accounts for around 20% of your total caloric expenditure, right? Your brain does a lot of thinking and a lot of operating. So your brain is constantly trying to save energy. That's why, when you touch a hot stove, your brain then knows that is the past. Do not replicate that in the future. And obviously, because you're not replicating in the future, or you're not replicating in the present, that defines your future. So what's currently happening right now is there's this loop. So your brain is actually building neural pathways. So what it's saying is, here I am in the present. Here I am in the present. So what I'm going to do to understand the present better is I'm going to shoot back on over to the past. So once again, for a lot of you guys, let's just say you have a tough time with, even waking up at 5 a.m. So your brain, your brain is here in the present, and your brain is trying to understand this whole waking up at 5 a.m. thing. So what your brain will do, your brain will go to the past, and maybe in the past, you identified as a night owl. So your brain tries to go to the past and goes, well, shit, no, I'm a night owl. That's what I define myself as, right? I'm a night owl. I work better in the night. Or maybe you even just shoot back to the past where, for whatever reason, you just had a couple weeks where you worked better in the night. So your brain shoots back on over there, and then that gives it the information to come back into the present and go, oh wait, actually, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't wake up early because maybe I am actually a night owl. When in reality, it could have just been something as simple as you had school or you had work, and then the only time you had to work on your business was at night. So no shit that at night you work better on your business because that's the only time you had. So then your brain takes that information and goes, okay, well, maybe I am only a night owl and maybe I shouldn't wake up at 5 a.m. Or maybe, logically, you want to wake up at 5 a.m. You try waking up at 5 a.m., but your brain has too much of a reference point from the past from identifying as a night owl that it's just holding you back. Okay, and obviously what you do in the present is just going to define your future. So this is basically how it flows. Once again, let's just say, put the example of cold calling. Well, shit, I'm not a good salesperson. Well, your brain right now is saying, okay, I want to sell. So then it goes to the past, and it goes to the past when, maybe you tried to sell something and you just got completely rejected. Just a really nasty rejection. But that was only one data point. So your brain goes back to the past, goes, well, shit, you remember that rejection? And then that brings you back over to the present, where now your brain is like, okay, well, you can't do that. You don't know how to do that. You're not able to do that. And then obviously that dictates your future. So guys, this is what the normal person's thought process is like. And most people do not understand this. Most people have no clue what is happening on with their what is going on in their mind and their brain. So what we need to change. So let me explain to you the new process we're taking from now on. And as I said, guys, we are going to go into the details, the nitty-gritty of how to actually execute on this. But what's going on here is we need to shift from being in the present, right? So our brain says, want to wake up at 5 a.m. And you need to, rather than going back to the past, which is of no use to you, you need to use a reference point of who we're trying to be. So present, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. Instead of going back to the past of who I was, I need to go to who am I trying to be and what actions are they taking? And then that gives me a reference point of the present. So what I actually like to do is I like to imagine myself in a year as someone who wakes up at 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., whatever it is your time is, or as someone who can, make 300 cold calls a day, 200 cold calls a day, 100 cold calls a day, whatever it may be. Or someone who is, for example, if I'm trying to get to 6-figure profit a month, or multi six-figure profit month. Instead of going back to my past is of no use to me. Instead, what I go to is I imagine and I visualize myself, who is the version of myself that is making six figures, and I go and I use their actions as a reference point, rather than going to the past, because the past is of no use. Okay, so guys, this is a really key distinction here. So once again, as I said, when you are trying to define your present, when you are trying to build out your present, which, as I said, in turn is going to build out your future, instead of going back to the past, imagine who we're trying to be and what actions they take, and then that is going to create a loop. This is going to create a neural pathway to the present. Then from the present, that will define the future. So the entire purpose of this section, the entire purpose of this week is to make you become the sculptor. Make you become the sculptor of your life. Your past is a clean slate. We're no longer using your past as a source of data as to what the future holds. And as I said, a lot of you guys are really fucking up. And I know I fucked up in the past because you're going off of one data point. You're going off of that one exam that you failed, rather than the 7 other things you tried and you succeeded at. Or you're going off of that one shitty sales meeting when you had 4 good ones, right? You're going off of too little data. Or, if in all fairness, as I said, if in all fairness, your past is riddled with failure, like there's genuinely no good data points, then fucking get rid of it. Because that was you in the past. The person you are right now, guys, I have some really bad news for you. The person you are right now is not going to achieve what you want to achieve. But the person you are right now is not the same person as who you will be in a year. The person you are right now doesn't have the skills, the discipline, the willpower, whatever it may be, to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. But that doesn't matter. Because, you know the whole saying, like, level up? You guys are about to level up, right? That's the goal here. So, as I said, your past is a clean slate. And we're going to determine what we want the future to look like, and then reverse engineer from there. So as I said, rather than going into the past, letting the past define our present, which in turn defines our future, instead we're going to go into what does the future hold, and then reverse engineer from there. Okay? So what do you want from your life? You are now the sculptor, and you sculpt whatever reality you want the most. So guys, action step for today. What is a data point from the past that you need to delete from your memory? And I genuinely mean delete, like get rid of it. Set a timer for 10 minutes and jot it down on paper, okay? And guys, remember, the people who succeed are the ones who, when an action step comes, you actually go ahead and you actually execute on it. So please just set a timer for 10 minutes right now and jot it down on a piece of paper. You don't have to share it with anyone. You don't have to show anyone, but just jot it down on a piece of paper. And once again, guys, let me make this very clear. The only difference between the 6, 7, and 8-figure earners and the people who, try and try, but they never succeed is the stuff I'm teaching you right here. So I really cannot stress how important this is for your success. So guys, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next module.
تهیه و تنظیم در استدیو بیشتری.